work cite the paint program, which was invented for this particular work, to produce this kind of work, in the Chicago Computer Lab, Art to the Nth Dimension. The output was printed on a cyberchrome transparency of this size and slid inside the light box. So what we're looking at is the transparency inside the light box. And all the effects of the three-dimensionality are really virtual effects and not real. The transparency is just a regular transparency size. So it's another usage of technology in the service of the art.
It looks like Aztecs.
Yes, it's very American because it combines the pre-American, pre-Columbian American art and very, very contemporary American art and technology. And one of our first clients for this piece, it's an edition of 6, was the New American Embassy in Berlin in the unified Germany, because I think it combines wonderful American technology and American art.
Yes.
And the ambassador who was selecting the works personally, he really understood this connection. Right.
So what advice would give, tours to how they can become collectors? How can, these paintings and these artists are so well known, probably the paintings are very expensive.
You don't become a collector until you come to the gallery and purchase works. Before that, you only become gallery goers. What you should be
how do
purchasing?
you approach them to start collections? Like you probably have other works of also well-known artists or established artists, but there are more
most of our
photographs.
artists are either mid-career or established artists. I would hesitate to give this advice. I would always tell people, if you want to buy something, you have 2 criteria. You love it, you can pay for it.
Yes.
If you're buying personally for yourself, you should not be accountable to anybody else. If you're buying for a museum, for an institution, you have a completely different accountability. But we're dealing here with individuals. Do you love it so that you want to put it in your home? Well, can you pay? Buy it. If you don't love it, no matter what I'm going to tell you, don't buy it.
That's true.
If it's a bargain, but you don't love it, don't buy it.
Do you think some artists, the work of an artist grows on people? Like at the beginning they don't like it, and then when they understand what the painter was all about?
I think the work of art has to have an immediate visual impact, because it's not a word of literature that you can read again and again and then maybe understand the layers of it. If it doesn't grip you visually at the first take, then it becomes literature, because then you explain things and then it's different. It has to have an impact on you. But I think if you like it first, but then you know more about it, you will like it more. You will appreciate it more. I think this is how it has to work. I don't know. Maybe I differ from your theory. I don't know.
No.
But at the end, I wanted to show some traditional paintings. Excuse me. This would be this painting, and I'll leave it in the light. I don't quite recognize it. Yeah, we'll see. This is a traditional painting. It's by a Russian artist, and like Tolstoy, he tells you a big picture, big story, big brush strokes, and big symbolism, big mushrooms, exactly. So as you can tell, this is traditional painting. This is oil on canvas. He uses the classical painting technique with impasto, which means squeezing the paint out of the tube and laying it thick on the canvas, sometimes so thick that instead of working with the brush, he works with a palette knife. He slice the paint, like here. And the symbolism may be very contemporary, but the language, the vocabulary is very classical. And that's another way. You can tell a contemporary story, a fantastical story, a nightmare story, but use the centuries-old technique. That's okay too. Or we can use this minimal painting of a mirror, but using very wonderful, almost Renaissance-like technique of very flat canvas with very flat brush stroke. So that's okay too. We can use every technology to push the image through.
What is the story of that canvas?
Story of this? I don't know. Maybe they're high on mushrooms.
Maybe they're
Like
hungry.
mushrooms.
Well,
Maybe they're-
he's very mystical. His stories are always very mystical.
One mushroom is floating.
I think his stories are about people and the illusions that they have, the elusiveness of the goal in people's lives, I think, mostly.
Oh, yeah, flying.
And the disconnect between the people, because none of them are looking at each other, they're completely disconnected. But that's not why I bring it, because of the technique that is so very classical, almost like the old masters.
The mushroom always been a symbol of, it had to do with fertility in some cultures, and in others because also the power of the drugs. A lot of people into rituals, they used to take mushrooms in order to hallucinate and then bring ideas out in the form of religion. So I think that's why.
But I think in this particular case, no, because in the background we have a strictly urban landscape with a multi-story building, and suddenly we have this rustic sort of forest setting in the middle of the city as if. So I think it's more about nightmares and hallucinations, yes. But maybe the disconnect between the urban life and they return to the rustic life. I think knowing the artist, a lot of Russian artists have the longing for the old times. So maybe that's about it more.
Are they women? You want to say it's men and women?
Yeah, it's men and women. It's men and women, but the men and women are the peasant type men and women, not the city type. Even though they're obviously somewhere in the city. Suddenly they have this magical meadow in the middle of the city. These paintings are very mystical. They have many layers and layers. They're very beautifully painted. But the first thing you see obviously are those faces. They really grip you. And then you want to know more what it is. The first thing you want to see, you want to look more at those faces. The woman, the man, the fingers, all of this is very good.
Many artists, when they paint, they don't tell us, they don't give us the whole info, right? As a gallerist, we still look at a painting.
I think it's very true. I think you would know too, Polsky, who was so generous always with his time, never really told you what his works were about. He always tried to be tongue-in-cheek about that. No matter how many direct questions you ask, he would always say, yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. He would poke his head like so, remember? Yeah, maybe. It's very personal, you know. A lot of paintings, a lot of works, they're really very personal. They don't necessarily want you to know their meaning for this. They're trying to look for your meaning for this.
What is your next thing? Are you on?
No. We're not doing anything. We're lazy. We're going to the beach. We're not doing anything until September.